place of honor. But other countries have their national sports as well. And here now are some of the sights and sounds of victory in a world of sports that's much wider than many of us imagine.
He's got good-looking line. He is on it. Canada's going to win the World Junior title.
In every country, there are the favorite pastimes. The arenas vary from the playing fields to oceans, deserts, and the local pubs.
Seen in every pub, picked up easily. As low. 140. Almost like an athlete coming into the stadium, a lap behind. As Bristow looks at one dot for the match double 16.
Turn on the telly in Britain, and you will, at most any time of the day, be watching snooker. The World Championship was held in Sheffield.
He's done it. Dennis Taylor becomes snooker champion 1985.
And the mind game. It began in September, ended in November, with Garry Kasparov, the world champion. From mind over body to bodies under rocks. In Spain, the Basque rock lifting and dragging champion. Tournament of the Five Nations. In this match, France beat Wales 14-3, but Ireland went on to take the cup. The last time it was cold enough to hold this event was 1963. It's called Elfstedentag. They race on speed skates through 11 cities. Evert von Bentham, the champion, in 7 hours and 6 minutes. 24 days, 8,500 miles through 6 countries. The Paris to Dakar rally includes motorcycles, cars, trucks, dust, and arguments, usually over buying gasoline. In the Stranger in a Strange Land department, American Randy Bass, playing for the Hanshin Tigers, led the Japanese major leagues in home runs. Bass belted out 54 homers, and that tied the legendary Sarahara O single-season record. Unfortunately for Bass, the final game of the season was against the team managed by O. So what happened? Well, Bass was intentionally walked 4 times. But our American in Japan remains a local hero. The Japanese love their records. They broke this one in September. I guess you might say, in time, all records must fall. Still ahead now, John Madden will bring us his most entertaining moments of the year. And 2 Americans, one a cyclist and one a skater, boldly challenge the world. And Tim Ryan will ring out the old and ring in the new year in the world of boxing.
I'm Dan Marino, and at Christmas time, I take care of the hands that take care of me. I pass isotoner gloves to the hands that catch my passes, and I hand off these custom-fit isotoners to the hands that carry the ball. And of course, I never forget to take care of my blockers, because how can I throw a pass when I'm laying on my back? This Christmas, give isotoner gloves by Aris, and take care of the hands that take care of you.
If you put... We're at the famous Gleason's Gym in New York City. And it's in gyms like this where boxers' dreams begin. The dreams came true in 1985 for the likes of Michael Spinks, Donald Curry, and Hector Camacho. And 2 new stars emerged on the boxing scene, Irish featherweight champion Barry McGuigan and the junior lightweight champion from Mexico, Julio Cesar Chavez. The fight of the year? Well, that's easy.
Las Vegas, Nevada, April 15th. Hagler and Hearns. Hearns eager to show that his knockout of Roberto Duran proved the hitman was back. Hagler still looking for that elusive respect. Round 1 was one of the best rounds in boxing history. And at the end of it, despite Hagler's ugly cut, Hearns was done. By round 3, Hagler, the natural middleweight, finished off a wobbly-legged Hearns. After a total of 8 furious minutes, Hagler had sent Hearns sprawling to the canvas to stay. In another battle of unbeaten champions, Donald Curry and Milton McCrory met to settle the welterweight title. In a dazzling display of poise and power, Curry overwhelmed McCrory, decking him with a left hook and finishing him with a classic right hand. Now, for the first time since Sugar Ray Leonard had retired, there was an undisputed world welterweight champion. And speaking of undisputed champions, Rocky Marciano's record string of 49 straight wins was challenged by Larry Holmes. But his opponent, a beefed-up Michael Spinks, seeking to become the first light heavyweight champion to win a heavyweight crown, outlasted a confused and weary Holmes over 15 rounds.
Decision and new IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Spinks.
85 was one heck of a year for me. Yes, it was.
Afterward, Holmes reacted bitterly to his failure to gain the immortality of a Marciano.
I mean, if you really want to get technical about the whole thing, Rocky couldn't carry my jockstrap.
A different Rocky came back in 1985, Rocky Balboa for Hollywood's Fight of the Year in Rocky IV. While a real-life Rocky, Ray Mancini, had a movie made of his life. Boom Boom was busy trying to script a happy ending by regaining the title he had lost to Livingstone Bramble.
Final seconds, a good left by Bramble. Mancini firing away. The fight comes to a close in the center of the ring where they have been since the opening nap.
The final chapter of the storybook career was etched on Mancini's bloodied face. Suddenly, Boom Boom was yesterday's hero. His name is Barry McGuigan, and he is the unlikely hero who, by his success in the ring, has united Catholics and Protestants alike in his native Ireland. Only peace flags were flying as young Barry captured a world featherweight title.
It's a great incentive to know that at the end of the day, the people are, enjoyed themselves and threw their arms around one another and had a great night, at least one night during the week. And I'm very proud to be associated with that.
And south of our border, there's a whirlwind boxer named Julio Cesar Chavez. His unbeaten WBC super featherweight champion had a perfect year in '85 and may dominate for years to come. And the fur was flying when the best-dressed champion of the year showed up to bedazzle the world with his macho mania. Hector Camacho's splendor was more than sartorial as he beat Jose Luis Ramirez to earn his second world championship. But 1985 was not as kind to Billy Costello. Once the unbeaten WBC super lightweight champion, Costello was upset by an unknown, lightning Lonnie Smith, who scored 5 knockdowns en route to an 8th round victory. While Smith's fans celebrated, Costello ended retirement plans and aimed a comeback attempt against another former world champion, the legendary Alexis Arguello. For more on that developing story, here's Pat O'Brien.
This was Arguello's last fight against Pat Jefferson. After 2 years, he's come back to make history to win a 4th title, something he's failed at before, but Alexis Arguello is not a quitter.
Yeah, I am in a situation that I survive or I drown. As a man, I say I will never drown if it depends on me, because I know what to do.
The Alexis Arguello story is one of the most compelling in all of sports. It has many stories, really, one of rags to riches to rags again, of triumph and of desperation. But somehow all these stories seem to have the same ending, because Alexis Arguello always makes a comeback. Much of the story takes place here in Miami, Florida, but we begin in Managua, Nicaragua. Arguello grew up in the war-torn streets where if you didn't fight, you didn't grow up. 3 years ago, we traced Arguello's past, where he first boxed, his father, who watched the war with one eye, his son become a hero with the other. We saw Alex's dream home stolen by the Sandinistas while Arguello was away trying to make history. He'd won 3 titles in 3 different weight classes, and in anticipation of a 4th, they sported Arguello t-shirts back home. These were great times for a dedicated champion.
The knife, I mean, if you take good care of yourself, nothing could happen.
We know Cry is a great finisher when he gets you hurt.
But something did happen. Arguello was stopped by Aaron Pryor. It was a terrible blow, literally and figuratively. And after it happened again, Arguello lost touch with reality, and in the process, almost lost everything.
I think the saddest part, is I spent months with no knowledge. I was losing my wife, my kids. That was the only sad part.
He got into show business after the prior fights, and his life became one round of parties after another. He admitted to me he got into drugs, and at one point became so desperate he contemplated suicide. Were you going to use a gun? Is that what you were going to do?
Well, I never went to that moment to reach the gun, but I thought about it.
Who's desperate here?
Yeah, I don't know.
Now he thinks about his family again, even though his son has another hero.
Rocky.
Rocky, right.
Hold up your left hand. You're wearing a wedding ring again.
Yes.
The first time I've ever noticed.
First time in my life I wear it.
No more wild women?
No, I don't think so.
The challenge of the fourth title is a formidable one, but this time, now more than ever, Arguello doesn't want to let anybody down.
This is the kind of situation I come back better because I'm a survivor. I'm one of the, I think, the greatest survivor of the world because I don't have education, but I really have sense of responsibility.
In 1985, Wayne Gretzky was voted the National Hockey League's most valuable player for the 6th straight season. Gretzky shattered 9 more NHL records in leading his team, the Edmonton Oilers, to their 2nd consecutive Stanley Cup. Coming up, a year for the record books.
Next, the Redskins must win to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Cardinals would like...
Figure eights on the ice. You know, unlike many of the other sports we've been looking at today, running, cycling, and figure skating really do not produce the scores of household names. Well, occasionally, you'll hear about the actual winners of an event. But to the endurance specialist, many times just finishing the race is a victory enough. Well, finishing is no small feat in the most grueling one-day events in the world of cycling. The 166-mile Paris-Roubaix Bike Classic. Those slightly bent personalities who attempt such a torture test find themselves with twisted bodies and bikes to match. You can see why they call this ordeal the Hell of the North. And in the thick of it was American Greg LeMond, who would go on to finish this race a historic 4th.
I didn't crash in front, so I had some luck, but just didn't have enough to final.
July, it was time for LeMond to set his sights on a more formidable challenge, the Tour de France, a Super Bowl of cycling that travels through the picturesque French countryside as millions of Europeans gather for a glimpse of their heroes. The Tour, the most prestigious event in the sport of cycling. Greg LeMond was hired this year to ride on Frenchman Bernard Hinault's team to help him win. For the French, the Tour is everything, and for 4 weeks through it all, the vignettes of drama played out in real life and to a television audience of millions.
Do you want me to punch you in the face?
A wounded Bernard Hinault after a horrible crash. LeMond's tears of anger. The constant overpowering attention for Hinault.
Your turn.
The blinding exhaustion. It's a battle that has already left its marks. Despite a broken nose and a concussion, Hinault kept the lead on his way to a 5th Tour win. Along the way, LeMond, though, became the first American ever to win a stage of the Tour de France. At one point, LeMond had a chance to race for himself, but remained loyal, if not reluctantly, to his mentor, Hinault. And as the final stage cruised into Paris, it would be the veteran Bernard Hinault donning his 5th maillot jaune, or yellow jersey, which in the future may be worn by the American. The distance running calendar takes us to Rotterdam. And this year, Portugal's ageless wonder, Olympic gold medalist Carlos Lopes, 38 years young, broke the world record. He clocked in at 2 hours, 7 minutes, 11 seconds. The next day, over in London, Norway's Ingrid Christensen bettered her own world record in the marathon.
And this is a new world best performance. 2:21:06. Fastest time by a woman in history.
From there, Christensen crossed the Atlantic to the United States, the site of 3 great races. In Chicago, Christensen took on Olympic gold medalist Joan Benoit Samuelson. This picture of the friendly adversaries did not last long, as Joan went on to win it, though not in record time.
Steve Jones, the crowd is on its feet.
Meantime, for the men, Steve Jones took aim at Lopes' record.
It'll be close.
He missed by 1 second.